Okay.
Is it rolling?
Yeah, it's going.
We can tell her that like our books are on.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, Miss Ginsberg.
Hi.
So we're going to be talking about Bossy Pants by Tina Fey. We read chapters 1 through 3 because I'm leaving after tomorrow and they're still here for 2 more weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm going to continue the book by myself, but they're just going to continue in class. So the first thing we really want to talk about is just the first thing you hear about the book is the title.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I think the title kind of portrays like a few things you mentioned in the book about how like women are perceived as this like ideal and they're really not, and like the name Bossy Pants kind of really entitles that because I feel like a powerful woman like Tina Fey is, she's often like referred to as bossy and like demanding, whereas she's just like, if a man were to act like that, they'd be called like powerful and strong, but she's called Bossy Pants.
Yeah, exactly.
You
can go on after.
I think it represents kind of like how how like women should be, or like, because a lot of women these days and young people are really insecure about like their body or like accepting who they are, and I think that the title kind of like goes off of that.
Yeah, I agree. And I remember in the book she was kind of talking a lot about how, like what Lindsey was saying, like a guy, if they do these things or whatever, like people are like, oh wow, good for them. But if a girl starts acting like a guy's kind of role, acting like fitting into a guy's role, people are like, oh, why are they doing that? Or people are like, oh wow, good for her. Not like, oh, they're powerful. It's like, oh, bossy or like, it's like surprising that.
And like the cover art is her face like morphed onto
right,
a guy's
body.
So it's kind of showing how like it may be her, but like people think she kind of acts more as like man qualities.
Yeah.
So I think that's really strong. And people kind of think it's funny, like she's just making a joke. But I feel like if you read more into it, even though it's like a funny book, it's just like a memoir. It's very really real. But like everything about it is just like this little thing, and it all kind of adds up to the big ideal of like what she truly thinks about like how women are viewed versus how like they actually are.
Yeah. And it's really, I thought it was really like pleasurable to read because it is funny. It's like I mean obviously she's like hilarious, but so it's like easy to read, but there's so much meaning within it, and I think that's really important because it's like such a good read. Like a lot of people are gonna want to read it, and then it can get the message to a lot more people.
Yeah, I know, like, my favorite chapter so far was All Girls Must Be Everything. It was chapter 3.
That one was
and it
good,
talks about how, like, it's her cousin, like, her older cousin, who just, like, teaches her everything about, like, beauty and, like, being a woman, but she's, like, really young.
Actually, the quote.
Yeah, when they were, like, oh, the hips are different or whatever.
Yeah.
Quote on page 24. Let me pull it up quickly. Let me find it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh yeah, we read the book online because that was just easiest.
Or on her.
I read it on my Kindle.
This was how I found out that there are an infinite number of things that can be incorrect on a woman's body. At any given moment on planet Earth, a woman is buying a product to correct one of the following deficiencies, and then she lists like a bunch of different things that can be wrong with like a girl's body. Yeah. And that was like.
And I feel like almost like when we're young, we don't realize that because we're like kids and we're like, we don't wear makeup or like we don't like go to the gym. We're just kind of running around. And then you start getting older, and I remember like in middle school, I started reading like those magazines.
Yeah,
and they're like all the new hot products, and I'm like, what are these used for? Like, what is this kind of mystery?
Even now,
a lot of people like kind of use them.
Yeah.
Even now, I'm like looking at
it. Like all like everyone I know like wears makeup and like, but just because it's like weird if you don't. It's almost like, oh, she doesn't wear makeup. Like, what's her deal? Yeah. But it's kind of like I felt like she was kind of pointing out in this chapter like the two very different worlds that people really live in, because she was a child still, and then she had like this person just a few years older than her explaining like everything about beauty and like makeup and stuff. And it was just weird to see that like we all went through that, and I didn't realize what was going through, what was happening, but once it's pointed out to you, then you can't really like, get rid of it.
I think this book does a really good job of like showing the transformation between like child and adult, and kind of like how shocking it is. Like so many things, like when you're younger, you're so naive and like you don't really see all the things that are like wrong with the world, like people judging others and like all this. But then once you grow up and you see it, you're like, wow, like everyone when they're little wants to be older, but like sometimes when you're older, you're just like, I just want to be young again and like figure it out.
Yeah, it really shows like the good change.
Yeah. And it's kind of also like the chapter 1 where it was all about like her scar on her face.
Yeah.
And how like people have like reacted to it, and how it's kind of like she says like it's such like a tiny thing on her face, but like it's kind of changed her, just because
No,
we're
in discussion.
Sorry, Miss Ginsburg. It's kind of like given her like she said like it gave her like a new perspective on life almost, because like people have always like it's like the first thing people notice when they're like, oh, how'd you get that scar? And she has to tell the story like a million times. But it's weird because like she's trying to cover it up and like get like almost like you can get like procedures to get rid of them, but like she's kept it and like.
I actually really like that chapter. I think it's like really relatable to me because I actually have this massive scar on my leg, and like I am like kind of self-conscious of it just because it's so big and ugly. But like I related to her a lot because like people are always asking me like, oh, what happened? What happened? What happened? I'm just like
and if you didn't have it, like they wouldn't have to like ask.
The story, and that's why I really like the way she addressed it. She was just like, yes, I have a scar on my face from this. I do not need to talk about it.
Yeah,
that's all I
and like what she said, she's like, do your thing and don't care if they like it.
Yeah, exactly.
She's like
powerful.
super, like people like just think she's like this comedic, funny person, but she's actually like a super empowering woman.
She like gets the meaning.
Yeah,
of it
and
well.
like the thing is like she created 30 Rock and she like wrote the entire and she started it. She like started her own TV show, and that's so empowering to women everywhere. And she can be like, she didn't just write it. She was like, I'm gonna write it and then I'm gonna go star in it, and I'm gonna make it exactly how I like saw it. I'm not gonna let anyone stomp all over me. And I feel like her book like led to like Mindy Kaling's book.
That's what it
and then she also Mindy Kaling also wrote her entire own TV show and started in it. So it's like Tina Fey's kind of like this like messiah where she's like the starter, and everyone's like if she can do it, it's okay if we do it now.
Yeah, she's carving a new path, and I think that's really important. Like kind of following in other people's footsteps. But like she kind of took charge of her life and like kind of led the way. And also I have a quote, and it's from the book obviously, and it says, if you retain nothing else, always remember the most important rule of beauty, which is who cares. And I think that's really important because like talking about her scar, like talking about like growing up, she like all growing up, like her cousin was telling her all of this stuff, and she's like, why does it matter? She's like, I learned. She listed out all the things that were like wrong.
Yeah, and she says like
it's like
she would never go trading anything that's wrong with her body. She just take it.
And like in the end, like you are like you have to be like love yourself before love anyone else. Like she loves herself. And she's like, I just want other people to realize that. Which is like really
I'm like the opposite of what she is.
I feel like so many girls are now because it's just like that's kind of
like
what we're brought up to be like.
Like
you know
she was,
I mean?
I was actually like very like impressed at how she was able to list all the things that of like a girl's body like should be like, and then she lists all the things that were wrong with her life. And I was like, wow, that's like really respectable for her to be able to admit all that.
Yeah,
like,
right. I feel like I would never be like, oh wait, let me just list everything
I would never be like, this is wrong with me, this is wrong with me.
But she's so like confident within like the idea of like who cares about what you look like besides you. It's like really inspiring, and while I keep going back to the idea like her book's humor, but like there's so many deeper messages in it that people read and they're like, wow, like this is actually like super effective towards like my life and stuff. And I know like I feel like her book was really cool because it was like she literally started her childhood and went through like her entire life and like everything she's learned along the way, like, and it's just like insane.
Like that, like her younger years, like definitely reflected on like what she did.
Yeah, totally.
Definitely.
All the acting, like you said.
They really like shaped her. And it's interesting because like we're going through like younger things.
But like one thing that it makes me kind of question is like, do you think, you know, she's so funny, but do you think it's like kind of like comic relief just from her?
Like a ploy, like she to like hide stuff.
It's just, it's like kind of like I feel like it could be like it's such a great story. She is so open, obviously, about it. But like it could also like covering it with the comedy like makes people as they're reading it be like, oh, this is such a funny book, you should read it. But like the way we're reading it is different. We're looking at it through like a different kind of lens, and like you're seeing like, oh wow, like she's really like opening it up about her struggle.
Like my mom read it and she like just thought it was a super funny book and she recommended it to me like years ago, whenever it came out like 2 years ago I think. And I just like never really picked it up, but as we're in a class where you just like pick apart like the story she tells, it's interesting to see like what is underlying beneath. Like I feel like you can do that with so many comedians, like their work, like even their stand-up. Like a lot of people who like form stand-up comedy, it's like about like stuff in their life that sucks.
Yeah,
and they make it into comedy.
Exactly.
Because like I know Edwin Nixon's friend, he does stand up in the city, but like he talks about like his family problems, but he makes it funny. So it's like I guess I think her entire book might be like a way to get over her problems.
It's like her telling her story, but not making it not
about
making
her.
Pity her.
Yeah, it's about her.
Telling it in a way so that people kind of praise her for it rather than pity.
Yeah, it's like she's like it's like about her. It's like a memoir, but in a way, it's like about everyone.
Yeah.
Because everyone
I definitely relates.
Right. I can relate to so much of the stuff she's gone through. So many people can.
Yeah. Sure. So honestly, I was reading and I was like, this is so true. Everyone's life.
Yeah, I know. And I know the thing about the scars. I immediately related. It's people with distinctive moles.
Right.
And how some don't take them away.
Some are beauty moles.
Yeah, and some like this girl I know, her name's Maggie, and she has one in the right in the
I
forehead.
know her, yeah.
And she just won't get rid of it. She's it's just who I am.
Yeah.
But some people are so embarrassed by them, so it's weird how maybe people growing up were either praised for them or kind of put in the dirt for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not made fun
what's
of.
that famous model's name that was literally
Cindy Crawford.
Yeah, she's
but she was praised for it because she was in the magazines and she had a mole, so it's almost
yeah, exactly, because I feel there's different things with beauty where even in modeling terms people with unique beauty are considered so beautiful that in person in a regular day society people would put them down, so it's really just the society you grow up
it's in. Almost if you have a role model who has that mole, it's it's okay for me to have it now. You know what I mean? I know there's this new model and she has that skin disease. Michael Jackson had, and so now people with that are empowered by her because she's on cover of these magazines.
Yeah, she has
walking the runways. Yeah, and they're
I
can be okay in public too. She's on these magazines and she's fine with her.
I saw her in Times Square in New York City, and I was I saw you in America's Next Top Model.
Really? Yeah. That's insane. But it's just interesting to see how people like Tina Fey can take their imperfections and
exactly.
the absolutely awful things they've been through and teach other people that it's okay to go through these things and it's okay to have these things and it's almost ridiculous with all the beauty regimens that people go through and all the money they spend on the makeup everyone wears just because that's how society has taught us.
Yeah.
But I mean it's just kind of this standard thing I thought of mainstream America. Who made it like this is my next question. Who decided we had to look like this? So these features are the ones you want.
Movies.
Right?
I think it's just kind of sad that society has evolved that way because I feel people didn't even used to have mirrors. Could you imagine?
Yeah, you just didn't know what you looked like, and people were
could not
concerned about it.
In a lake, you would be oh,
and
that's it.
But now we have Snapchat and selfies. Now you know what people are taking pictures of you, and you know what you look like. Always, and you're always criticizing yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Always why do I look like I have a double chin?
Picture
that. My hair looks that.
It's crazy,
ridiculous, and it's just weird because you think about people used to live without this and they were fine. Why are we not okay with it?
Yeah, I know.
It's just a lot, and I think I don't know. She kind of touches on it, where she's because she works in the movie business and the TV industry, and she sees
so it's
women go through all of this, and I don't know. I feel she's been really good about either making fun of it to a point where it's come on, you don't have to do that, or she's been it's okay to look how you want to look and not look how mainstream America wants you to look.
Yeah.
And have you guys ever seen her shows?
No.
She plays on 30 Rock. She plays a character called Liz Lemon, and she's this total fool. Doesn't know anything about beauty or men or whatever. So I feel that's who she actually is as a person.
Yeah, I feel
if she weren't famous, she'd be that person.
Yeah, that's why I feel her comic relief is kind of just getting there.
Yeah.
And I think she's trying to tell everyone everyone should do that because everyone has imperfections that they don't so why not embrace them?
Yeah. And back to the chapter all girls must be everything, even the title of that chapter says so much. I think the smallest things in her book make so much sense.
Yeah, exactly. And she was I remember her talking about as soon as J-Lo came with a big butt, everyone needed a big butt.
Yeah,
I was
you can't just have a big big butt.
It's so funny, but it's so true. Like people, like things like that happen.
So it's like they have to get famous. I need to have you.
Yeah,
it's like how eyebrows are in right now. It's because
yeah.
like famous people have nice eyebrows.
Yeah.
So it's like I gotta have nice eyebrows.
Yeah.
But really, your eyebrows are fine. Like
No one like really notices eyebrows.
Right? No one notices eyebrows.
Unless they're like
And like with like the
there.
Kardashians, it's like oh like a big butt's in, but then like it's out, and I'm like just why can't you
Why
just have your body?
Why can't you
and be
just
okay
have a
with
butt?
it? Right?
Yeah.
But just weird. Like she just kind of put it in a way that was funny but made sense to everyone.
Yeah, it's like so easy to understand because.
And you laugh. I was like laughing
Yeah,
out
it was
loud
so
at like
funny.
their stories just because they're so like
Yeah.
that probably has happened to me. Like someone's probably like when I was younger told me what to do when I'm older, but like she just has these thoughts, like inner thoughts in her head that are like so funny.
But they're so true. Like.
And I feel like her book has like also led to like a lot of women comedians writing their own stories. Like Amy Poehler just came out with a book that's equally as funny, and it's called like Yes Please, and it's kind of like the same thing, like just their stories. Like Lana Dunham, like she just came out with a book, and like it's just like their life stories and like stories they've learned and trying to like teach to others to maybe go through the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's super inspiring. I'm seeing a lot of videos.
Alright,
it's been 16 minutes. We have to have, what, 4 more minutes?
No, we need 10. It's like 15.
Okay, so now we're having a conversation about our conversation.
Okay.
Okay, so part 2.
Part 2.
I think our conversation was pretty
I think it was really good. I think
Yeah.
the one thing was maybe we could have gone into the book or like quotes, but like I think we talked
But like
so
it's such a
much
book that like relates to real life.
Yeah.
Because it's like a memoir.
It
It's
really
not fiction.
It stimulates like your own perspective.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
also like a funny thing about our conversation is now that I'm reflecting on it is like boys would not know what to do.
Yeah.
If they were like reading and they were like sitting
If
here
boys
like
were
what's
reading it,
makeup?
yeah.
Like, we
what
have so
are
much to say about
eyebrows?
it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, what do you think a boy?
Like what do they go through? Like oh, I got my hair cut too short, so I grow back in a week.
Yeah.
Oh, I have one pimple. Like boys like don't go through the same like
Boys do not.
growing up as, and she talked about that. She like she was like growing up and liking it. That's her second thing. But like boys like don't go through the same thing girls go through.
I think we had a good discussion.
We asked
good.
questions.
We didn't have any like awkward.
No, yeah, no.
No,
like,
It was really.
awkward
I think it was really natural. Like I felt
flow.
like we were. It wasn't even. I felt
Yeah,
like
I
we were
forgot.
talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
But yeah, it was good. I liked it a lot.
The book
I think
is good to talk
yeah,
about.
the book is like really. I feel like because it wasn't like a
Because
fiction
you
book,
enjoy it so
yeah,
much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't.
It had like a good time.
Honestly,
reading
like
and
before the
laughing.
conversation, I didn't think we find anything to talk
Me too,
about.
me and
Like,
Pia.
I thought
Yeah.
I'd struggle
Me and Pia,
a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Then I realized like.
In gym, me and Pia were like, oh, we can talk about this stuff. The stuff we said we were going to talk about, we didn't even talk about. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, I feel like it's just a lot. There was a really good flow in the conversation, and like we realized we all related to like one or more aspects of the book.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like we were all on the same page about the book, but we had like corresponding ideas that enlightened and like furthered our ideas too.
Yeah.
Like we kind of got further, I feel like, in the conversation than like we have in any of our conversations during class. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the class, there can be like awkward pauses, or not everyone needs to say what they want. And they, like,
Or like
This is
people
what
have the
I
same
did,
ideas.
yeah, we were all
I
like-
like a smaller.
yeah, we were all able to get in what we
Yeah, I
wanted.
definitely like smaller groups now.
You get a lot more out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I understand
It
what
moves
you guys
quicker.
are going through too in your head, like
Right. Yeah.
what your like ideas
Like
are.
you share your experiences.
And
Yeah.
people aren't
really.
like, oh, like there's so many other people that need to talk. I
And it's
get
not
my
awkward,
points in
yeah.
or whatever. It's just like really like.
It's not awkward to like share like your ideas because like people like I feel like I know you guys would get it because I saw what you said and I was
Yeah.
like perfect. Now I can say that. Whereas in class, I feel like it's kind of like awkward and like
Yeah.
it's kind of a weird
Yeah.
vibe and
Yeah.
nobody
Yeah.
wants
Yeah.
to
It's,
talk
like quiet.
or like
Yeah.
answer each other.
It's like everyone's staring at each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just like, who wants to talk?
I feel like they think they might be wrong. Like in this group, I
Yeah.
felt like I wasn't like I could have said anything. You guys
I don't
would
think
have
with,
been like
I don't think this book.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
talking about this book, you can't really say anything wrong.
yeah, because it's just yeah, it's a good book to talk
It's a really
about.
good book.
I feel like it'd be a good book to even
I feel like they
teach in
should read
class.
it.
Yeah, right.
I feel
Because like
yeah.
it's
Or like she should recommend it to a girl.
yeah
class.
to a girl yeah
Or like girl group.
group,
Yeah, girl group.
because it just like puts everything into perspective.
Yeah.
It's like you think like you grow up, you like are growing up or you grew up, and then this stuff happened to just you, and then you're like, wait, like this happened to Tina Fey, and she's like a super famous person.
Yeah.
Like I'm normal too, I guess. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's very relatable, and I think that's a really good thing about the book.
Yeah.
So if you can't relate to a book, you're like, what? Like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Yeah.
I've never been in prison or
Yeah,
mental
I was
hospital.
like,
It's just
I've never really
hard.
been friends with
it's very contemporary. Like I feel like it's like the most contemporary.
But like I feel like in our conversations in class we did like predictions, but in this we can't really predict anything.
This is just I think it's all about like
it's all about
and like.
But like I think we had a really good conversation and we like had personal connections, all of us, and we all like were on the same page for most of it.
Right.
I think it was a good conversation.
Good job. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
Thank you, Miss Ginsburg.
Thank you, Ginsburg. Enjoy watching.
Yeah. You already.